Episode number 40, Photon Podcast. We're going to laugh at ourselves with the Noise Blankers coming up.
MTCRadio.com presents Photon, the other ham radio podcast. Found online at photonpodcast.com. Now, here's your host, Cale Nelson, K4CDN.
So it's episode 40. I'm Cale, your host. I'm here every other week to bring you some education and entertainment regarding the amateur radio hobby. Now, you may be brand new into the hobby. You may be looking at the hobby. You might be like the gentleman who emailed me just the other day with a thank you note saying, "Hey, Cale, thank you for re-energizing my interest, kindling my interest again in amateur radio. I've been a licensed tech for years. I completely lost my interest, but your podcast has brought me back. Thank you, thank you, thank you." That's what we love to hear. That's why we do the program, or at least one of the big reasons we do the program, and we appreciate your notes. Speaking of getting notes in the email box, man, has my email box been on fire? Yes, it has, and it's all about everyone wanting to enter the giveaway that George just kind of slung on us there right in about two-thirds of the way through episode 39 when he said, "Hey, let's just give some stuff away. Let's give 2 kits away." Well, that was cool until yesterday when George said, "Hey, Cale, can you send me 3 names?" And I said, "Well, George, you said you wanted 2. He said, "No, never mind. Just send me 6. And I'm not sure if that's the new Common Core math or how they count on the left coast or whatever. George wanted 6 names, and I've got them right here. Now, we've already contacted the winners, and winners, if you haven't gotten back with us yet, we need to hear from you so we can get your stuff mailed to you from George and Sierra Radio Systems. All right, here's the call signs of the 6 winners from the Photon Podcast Turkey Giveaway from our friend George Zaropoulos and Sierra Radio Systems. Going to just give you the calls. Here we go. Congratulations to you all, by the way. Kilo 2, Alpha, November Delta. Kilo Golf 6, November Fox Juliet. Alpha Kilo 0 Whiskey. November 1, India, Victor Yankee. Kilo Charlie 0, Zulu Romeo Whiskey. And November 0, Romeo Uniform Golf. Congratulations, guys. Thank you, George. 2 to 3 to 6. That's an awesome, awesome thing. I really hope you guys will check out George's site, Sierra Radio Systems, and maybe he's got something there that you're interested in. A lot of great kits there, as well as repeater controllers and whatnot. So if you're in your club, you guys need a new repeater controller. We've talked about them here on the program before. And George also makes and supplies the Pac-10 along with our buddy Nick. And there's some great guys out there in the Baynet. Thank you so much. This portion of the Photon Podcast is brought to you by Kenwood USA and MTCRadio.com. Yeah, if you're looking for a new HT, maybe a tri-bander, maybe you're just needing a high-power single-band VHF handy-talkie. How about the venerable TM281, which is my favorite mobile single-band radio, or the Class Showstopper TS590SG, all from Kenwood, all available right now from MTCRadio.com. Call them if you're looking for the best deal online or in the world. Richard will do everything in his power to get the Kenwood gear in your hands that you've been looking for. Remember, Kenwood USA and MTCRadio.com. All right, guys. Yeah, we're back. I believe this is about number 40, and we've got some very special guests with us. We've been trying to get this together for a while now, and through the magic of Twitter and Skype and my cell phone as a hotspot over here, we're talking this time through with Andy Holmes, Kilo 5 Papa Oscar, and Kevin Thornton, who is Kilo 5 Kilo Victor Nancy, or November, if he would prefer. Anyway, we got these guys on here, and I just want to let them introduce themselves to you, and then if you didn't recognize their name or call, we're going to talk about why we've got them on the show here in just a couple of minutes. But whoever wants to go first, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into amateur radio, and what you enjoy doing in the hobby.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for having us on. This is Kevin, K5KVN, and I guess I'll get started with my whole story about how I got into ham radio. My dad was an electrical engineer, and he was always tinkering with stuff at home, and he had antique radios around the house that he would fix up every once in a while. So it's kind of just in my blood to tinker around with electronics. Well, he had a shortwave receiver one time that that actually could pick up, now I say shortwave, it could pick up portions of the VHF band. And one day I heard some guys talking about the weather, and they were using letters and numbers to identify themselves. So I asked my dad, I said, Dad, who are these guys that are referring to themselves with all these letters? It doesn't make any sense. He goes, oh, those are ham radio operators, and they're storm spotting. They're talking about the storms. And I said, ooh, I want to do that. And so I got a scanner. I bought a scanner, and that's how I got into the hobby to begin with. And just immediately latched on to the magic of radio. And from my bedroom, I could pick up stations. I grew up in Little Rock, and I could pick up radio stations from Jonesboro, Memphis, Jackson, Mississippi, and parts of Northeast Texas. And I just thought that was cool. And then with my scanner, I was hearing guys, in police transmissions from all over the place. And when I got into college, connected with a guy who was also a scanner enthusiast, and he had his ham radio license. And I said, holy cow, yeah, I've been wanting to do that. So I got licensed in 1994. I was 18 years old. Got hooked up with the University Ham Radio Club, which taught me a ton of stuff about the hobby, and got licensed as a no-code tech. And then about 10 years later, passed 5 words per minute, got my general, and about 10 years after that, I got extra. So here I am. And I just, even to this day, the magic of radio and being able to hear signals from anywhere in the world just amazes me, and that's what keeps me interested in the hobby. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We talk a lot about the magic of radio, and really past that, what is it? I mean, it's just enamoring. So thank you. We appreciate you coming on, Kevin. And let's hear from Andy. Andy, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy Holmes, K5PO. And, I guess I have a maybe a more traditional ham radio story than most want to admit. But I didn't know any ham radio operators. I didn't know anyone in amateur radio. I didn't have a dad or an uncle or something like that that was in amateur radio. Didn't really know anything about it. But I was a Jeep guy, and still am. I've had many Jeeps from Wranglers to Grand Cherokees and a couple different things in between. In the off-roading community, we oftentimes have CBs in our Jeeps, right? So I've always had a CB in one of my Jeeps. I don't anymore, frankly, but back then I had a CB in my Jeep, and I remember listening to the CB one evening, driving home from work, actually, and all of a sudden there was just like a crackle and some squawks, and I was hearing, weird, they don't use call signs, they use kind of handles or what have you, but, weird, like, 321 from Chicago, booming in, or, whatever stuff they CB talk they like to say or whatever, right? And I'm like, from Chicago, what? Because up to that point I'd heard just a bunch of guys from Arkansas, this kind of corner of the state where Kevin and I live. And all of a sudden, here's Chicago, here's the, 442 Michigan. And, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And, I tried to reply to the guys. And, of course, this is, just regular CB. It was AM. And no one could copy me. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, I need more power, right? So obviously these guys must be running more power than me. So I got onto the old reliable interwebs that evening. And, I'm looking up, CB amplifiers and all the stuff that's I now know would not have been appropriate, right? But, I'm like, I got to find a way to talk to these guys all over the place. It's crazy. And, in my searches, I come across, I want like power, right? I need to find a way to get power so I can make contact with these guys. That's just so fascinating. And I stumbled upon amateur radio. I'm like, okay. Then I start looking. Okay, I realized that CB amplifiers and things are illegal. I find this amateur radio thing, and I'm like, okay, interesting. Oh, so I can just get a license. It's pretty cheap to get a license. But I'm doing more reading into it. When I kind of find something I'm interested in, I kind of dig into it, and I'll dig a hole a mile deep, and kind of go crazy with it. And definitely, amateur radio was that sort of thing, and really kind of has been impressively for a few years now. So I knew I had to get HF, right? Because I knew VHF wasn't going to get what I wanted. So when I studied, I took my technicians and my general actually in the same sitting, missed one question per test, and came out of there. I guess this was this was January 2008. when I got my license and came out of general. So I knew HF was the place for me, and it's been a lot of fun since. And I've met a lot of awesome people in the community. And I guess for me, it started with a CB. It may not be a popular story with the amateur radio community. Like, we know CBs are below us or whatever. But hey, I didn't know any hams. If it wasn't for CB, I wouldn't have found my way here. But went back a year later, took my extra, and have been having a lot of fun since.
Fantastic. Well, whether they admit it or not, a lot of us got our start in CB. I did. I was 6, and I stole my dad's lawnmower battery to connect it to my an old Johnson Messenger 23 channel my grandfather had given me out of one of our deer hunting trucks. And that's kind of what sparked it for me. And, like 30 years later, I finally got licensed. But it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you guys sharing that with me. Now, these guys aren't making products. They're not here to sell anything. So it may be still a little curious to what we're doing here. They may be trying to sell something, but really, we're here for what you guys are contributing to the ham radio community, the amateur community. And that's 2 websites you guys have some dealings with that some of our listeners may have no clue what I'm talking about. So who wants to tell me about one or two or both of your sites that you guys fool around with?
Well, Andy, you want me to start off?
Sure, go right ahead.
I mean, yeah, Andy and I are the name of our club, and I'm using air quotations right now if you could see me on a webcam. Our club.
Which we can't.
Yeah, you can't see me. Oh, dang. Okay, so I won't do the air quotes anymore. But we're part of a group called the Noiseblankers Radio Group. Now, you notice we don't use the word club because we don't like to call ourselves a club, because inherently in amateur radio, when you're a club, you have to stick to regulations and a constitution, and you have bylaws, and
we're going to meet once a week and talk about nothing. And
have to meet. We must have a meeting. Well, we decided we didn't want to be a club, so we're going to be a group. We're the Noiseblankers Amateur Radio Club. And we came up with the idea, and Andy and I have talked about this before, how just odd it was that we all came together. There's four core members of the Noiseblankers Radio Group, and we, at the time, were using Facebook Messenger just to kind of chat about ham radio together. We had a little group chat going on. And we would banter back and forth, just making each other just cackle, just hee-haw laughing with this chat group that was going on. And we decided, man, we ought to just do this more often. Let's make a group. Let's become something. Let's do something. And we had all been members of other clubs in the area before and had good times. But we just wanted to do our own thing because we had all found that we were all like-minded. The 4 of us just really got along well. So we formed this group. Basically via a Facebook Messenger chat room, and decided we were going to, not hold regular meetings. We were going to enjoy the hobby. We were going to do it on our own time, but we were going to have fun whenever we did get together and do it. That was going to be the biggest thing. And on our website, you can see our mission statement, and it's basically, do radio stuff, have fun doing it, and then tell others just how much fun it is. That's our kind of group motto. And we all have similar backgrounds, and that's kind of, I think, what brought us all together. All of us, except for one, is a professional communicator. I have a radio and television background and now doing some corporate communications work. Andy is a corporate communicator. Gary, WB0RUR, is a corporate communicator. Nathan, K5KAC, he's in the banking industry. How'd that happen? How'd we get a banking?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how we let him in, but someone need to run the money. Since we have like $30 for the club, we wanted to bring someone in to take care of that.
Nathan works at a bank, but he's not the treasurer. I am. I'm just now realizing this. Wait a minute.
Before we go any further, we got to know what the site name is. How do we get there to go see your group that's not a club?
Yeah, so we keep a regular blog flowing on noiseblankers.com. And Andy, maybe you want to regale us with kind of how we came up with the term noise blankers.
I guess it was something along the line. So basically, Kevin talked about how we don't really have a regular meeting. We just, have an ongoing chat. We started on Facebook Messenger, but I've since moved primarily to iMessage. But we're more, instead of a club, we're more like a radio support group, right? So we're kind of just we talk through each other's troubles, whether it be radio or otherwise, and crack jokes. Yeah, exactly. You know, we air dirty laundry from the repeater, and we trash talk each other's respective stations, and whatever, right? It is therapeutic. It's nice, but I think the Noise Blankers, obviously, we wanted a club name that was a bit odd and matched the oddness that we feel sometimes we are, and I think it was kind of there's so much noise in terms of like in the amateur radio community. There's so much noise of big loud people with boisterous loud opinions, and sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong, but a lot of times they're just noisy. And we wanted to kind of be the blankers of said noise, and nullifiers of that sort of thing, but also kind of we started we crack jokes and talk to each other on Twitter and iMessage and whatever, and we'd oftentimes kind of make satirical jokes about our hobby, because we love amateur radio, but if you're honest, you recognize that collectively, as a group of folks, amateur radio operators, we can be kind of an odd bunch of people. And so
to say the least.
It's the truth. It really is. It really is. Yeah. Hey, Andy, we ought to tell them, too, just for a little Easter egg. If you go to our website, noiseblankers.com, and click on About Us, you can actually see a list of rejected club names. We actually have a list of what we started with and how we ended up with Noise Blankers. So,
wow.
One of them, I'll just give you one of them. One of them was the Kerchunkers.
I actually rather liked that one.
What could have been? Could have been?
Yeah. But who doesn't make an impact on your local repeater like that guy that goes kerchunking? Once every 5 minutes. You're like, yeah, I think I heard you try to come in there. No, they're not. They're not trying to communicate. Yeah. They're just kerchunking.
But imagine someone trying to go to kerchunkers.com. I don't think that would work. I don't know.
Noise Blankers wasn't even that great of a name either.
No, it wasn't.
Every time you type it into iPhone, it tries to collect it to noise blankets, which is somewhat confusing as well. And also, I have no idea what a noise blanket is.
I don't know. It's autocorrect for you. But we keep a running blog there. And, a lot of times our blog posts are ad hoc and random, and they're based off of something funny that we just came up with in iMessage, and or maybe someone had just a strange observation about something that happened in the hobby recently, and we'll crank out a quick blog post. But a lot of what we do is centered around satire and laughing at ourselves and having a little bit of humility, but also taking a really honest, hard look at who we are and being okay with that, and so we, like Andy said, we love the hobby. We're all active on the air. We're contesters. We get together and do the traditional field day stuff too, but we also each individually have, niches within the hobby that we like. And that's what is so rich with what we do on our blog and what we do on hamhijinks.com, is that we all have some niches that we enjoy, and that brings out little idiosyncrasies that are sometimes just gold for stories on hamhijinks.com.
Well, I looked at your website earlier, the Noise Blankers group that's not a club website, and what struck me is you guys all have hair. Lots of hair. There's just even I think it's Gary. His is white, but he still has it. Right.
That's
and
Gary,
I'm thinking,
yeah.
how did these young men with this Fabio-esque hair, how do they, they're hams. We're supposed to be bald-headed, man. At least for me.
Yeah,
and I'm
we
41.
do disappoint. We're not collectively maybe as overweight as we should be. And we probably do have more hair than we should have, and we do apologize. That's not the image we want to represent.
Well, that's probably just
and we're trying,
low testosterone.
We're getting there, right? We're working on getting there. So yeah, we probably have lower testosterone than the average ham. That's fair enough. Gary has a little less hair than the rest of us, so he's trying, right? We're trying, but we'll get there. I eat a lot. I'm trying to do my part.
Well, what's funny is I'm listening to you guys talk about your group that's not a club. I know that some people would be off-put by what you just said. Oh, well, we didn't want to be traditional, this and that. But at the same time, inside those traditional clubs, you have core groups of members who correspond with each other away from the air, who go to dinner with one another, and their families go on vacation and whatnot. So really, that happens inside the normal club, but sometimes it takes a while to break into those groups inside a normal club, or they might not let you in at all. But I think it's really cool that you just took it upon yourself to say, hey, let's do something a little different. Even though it's done all the time, it's done in a much different fashion, and it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun with you guys.
Yeah, and we weren't, we're not against clubs. We locally we have another club called Arcan that we partner with and are very friendly with. They're more of a traditional club, and I think it's awesome. It's not about like, hey, you should be like us. You should do something different or have your club your own way or whatever. Do whatever you like. That's cool. That's definitely what amateur radio is about. Whether it's Kevin spoke about the niches, like Kevin's more into. Kevin loves amateur radio, but he's also really an enthusiast in the scanning community. Gary's kind of our big time contester. KAC kind of likes old time valve rigs. I'm kind of just a general technophile gearhead. We all have interests, and clubs can be the same way. If a formal club's the fit for you, that's awesome. Find whatever way works to enjoy amateur radio. For us, it felt a little different, and so we kind of just went our own way with it. But yeah, nothing against it. Just do what works for you.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Andy, because I think all of us in the Noise Blankers said there's 4 kind of core members of the group. We're all about encouraging individuals to reach out and do what they want to do with the hobby. Now, we're going to poke fun at you sometimes. we're gonna have a satirical look at what's going on, but that doesn't mean that we're trying to discourage anybody from anything, because this hobby is so broad that you can find something that you really like and you can really dig deep into it, and that's what's so cool about this hobby. And that's what kind of just brought us together, because we all were just like-minded. You know how sometimes, if you find a clique at school or you find a clique at work and you get with some like-minded people, you can do things that you'd never imagine you could do as a group. You could do things that you can't traditionally do in a traditional group, because you have the buy-in, you have the energy. We organize, I kid you not, mini de-expeditions to the islands on the lake in less than 24 hours. We just do it. We just set our mind to it, and we just do it. And that's the beauty of being nimble, because we're accommodating, we're accepting, and we're so like-minded that we can turn on a dime.
So do you, before you go on these mini de-expeditions, do you vote to wear the shirt or to leave the shirt at home, and who brings the mosquito repellent?
Yeah, you're not allowed to wear shirts.
Okay.
No.
I mean, for photos occasionally, but in general, no, we don't really do shirts.
Is that like an Arkansas thing?
Sometimes. I don't know about you, but shirts and pants, they're just not that cool.
Yeah, I got you. So, okay, so...
I mean, shoes, definitely no shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's we're not going to do shoes.
So you don't wear them out there, do you?
No, definitely not. But we'll tell you, we do brush our teeth, though.
Okay.
I mean, on occasion.
Hey,
not like a lot.
Keep your dentist busy. Your banker will be happy with that.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to moderate that too.
Yeah.
But no shoes, no pants.
So
no
the first time I ever was introduced to you guys was I don't know if I was on Twitter. I had to be on Twitter. This was early on in the podcast, and somehow my Feedly feed, you guys came in probably on a keyword to my Feedly, and I was like, local club kicks member out for being too excited at Golden Corral. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to read this. And
75% of our stories happen at Golden Corral.
Yeah, well, I mean, 75% of amateur radio club members eat
it's
at Golden
accurate.
Corral. Yeah, so yeah, it felt very comfortable there. So all right, so I read this story, and I was bent over just dying laughing. Tell us a little bit about the Ham High Jinks. It's a satirical site. Let's go ahead and get that so everybody doesn't, it's like an onion or whatever you want to call it. It's hilarious. Make sure you go to hamhighjinks.com. But tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be. And if you've got some of your favorites you want to share with us, go right ahead.
So this is Kevin. Yeah, Ham High Jinks came about in the chat group, of course. And I mentioned earlier that, all of us kind of have a communications and PR background, and a couple of us were on radio and TV. And what we started doing one afternoon, it was just totally random. One afternoon, somebody came up with something odd that had happened in the hobby. I don't remember what it was, but one of us had written a headline, a hilarious, just the headline. And, in a real-time chat room, 5 seconds later, somebody's pinging in with a retort. And we spent, Andy, a day or two just pinging back and forth with these hilarious fake news headlines and just laughing at how funny it was.
Yeah, it was pretty easy at first, because there's, like we said, there's a lot of things to poke fun at. And a lot of it is, frankly, about ourselves. We're not really making fun of, sometimes we are making fun of other people, to be fair. But a lot of times we're making fun of just something we really relate with ourselves as well. But yeah, we spent it was a couple days just making it's kind of like onion style headlines, but in the vein of amateur radio or something like that.
And one of us said, "Hey, why don't we just make full stories out of this? We all know how to write a news story. Let's do it." And so we did, and we started sending these stories to each other, and I started capturing them and decided, you know what, let's do a website. And we threw out some ideas for the name of the website and somehow landed on Ham High Jinks. That's HAMHIJINKS.com. And it's just kind of sprung from there. It's, we aren't making any money on this. We just do it for fun. And it's therapeutic for us, and hopefully it gives somebody a laugh out there. But what started literally is just us throwing out hilarious, outrageous headlines turned into a full fake news website that I honestly can say some people sometimes think is real.
That's really the best times, frankly. When satire crosses over and someone maybe unsuspectedly reads it and assumes it's news, despite the fact that it says like Ham High Jinks in the URL. Those really are some of the best moments. I remember it was a couple of years ago. We had during the Super Bowl, actually.
Yep, here it comes.
Yeah, this was pretty good, actually. Yeah, it was during the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl was down in New Orleans, and I guess it's the Superdome. And if you recall, they had a loss of power for a few minutes there in the Superdome during the Super Bowl. It was kind of a big deal, obviously, during such a major event. And immediately I'm thinking, of dumb reasons why that would have happened. And of course, like what pops in my mind is some guy trying to, activate like a special event station at the Super Bowl, and it, his transmission or his transmitter, it causes some sort of RFI interference with some power module or something at the Superdome, and this amateur radio operator is, of course, why they lost power, right? Now,
I remember this.
Okay, clearly this is entirely fictitious, right? I mean, it's also kind of dumb that would even be the case. But anyway, but clearly it struck a real chord with some people. And one of the great things about these stories is occasionally they go viral and you reach a new audience. And occasionally that new audience has no idea what you're doing and has no idea it's satire. And we got a few emails from that one. I remember one of them, I forget where the guy's from, but he called us a bunch of sickos or something, that were like, we're damaging.
That's his actual word.
It was. He said you are a bunch of sickos.
Yeah,
sickos. Yeah. You're damaging, amateur radio's, perception in the community or something. I'm like, dude, we made that up. None of this even happened, of course. But we have some very, very serious hams out there.
Yes, we do.
That's some of the best moments.
Absolutely.
That one, I think that was the first one when we realized, hey, we are really onto something here. If it makes people this upset. It just, we were like, wow, this is amazing. That was the first time that happened to us. And I think since then, Andy, it's probably happened a couple of more times. The next one that comes to mind is when we did a story following the famous restroom failure at the Dayton Hamvention.
Yeah, that was that one took off in the same way too, and I think I actually had wrote that one as well. I don't write that.
Did.
Gary WB0RUR is really our most prolific writer, and the website probably would be dead by now if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Writing. Of course, Kevin actually does all the website maintenance stuff, so he would definitely be dead if it wasn't for Kevin. But I wrote a couple of them that were this. Yeah, after the famous restroom failure at the Dayton Hamvention a couple of years back. I think it was 2011. wrote a piece about that as a means of correction of errors for that event. The Dayton Hamvention organization was just simply going to ask amateur radio operators visiting the Hamvention to just not use the restroom at all and just hold their respective emergencies until they left the facilities. And that one caused a real backlash. These stories are really entirely obviously fake in our opinion, but sometimes it strikes a chord and someone reads it with some passion and they don't catch that. We actually had to add a kind of disclaimer thing to the bottom of that one. Got some emails from actually the Dayton organizers and stuff saying, guys, this is not true. People are freaking out about this. We know this is satire. I mean, they knew what we were doing, but they were getting calls from other people like, where am I going to use the restroom?
Well, actually, go ahead.
I actually got an email. Yeah, this is Kevin. I actually got an email from the director of Hamvention who just, was very nice about it, but specifically asked. And of course, we were like, oh, yeah, no problem. And so we put the disclaimer up there, and that quelched it a little bit. But the headline of that one was, Hams must hold it as Dayton says no to restrooms.
Well, what happens is these things show up in people's Facebook feeds or whatever on Google Plus, and all they see is the headline, and they're the like TLDR, too lazy didn't read people, and immediately get flushed. And
those are our favorite.
That was a bad pun, wasn't it? Immediately get flushed. Sorry, that kind of slipped. There's another one. Yeah. Oh well. All right. So hey, I want to talk about some more stories here in just a second, but we're going to break and we'll be right back. We've got Andy Holmes and Kevin Thornton. That's Kilo 5 Papa Oscar and Kilo 5 Kilo Victor Norway. Back in a few minutes here on the Photon Podcast.
Main Trading Company in Paris, Texas is still one of the small town stores. Give us a call. You'll get a real person on the phone. Richard, myself, Christine, Tammy, or Danielle. We're there to help you find the gear you're looking for. We carry brands like ICOM, Kenwood, products from Roan Tower, Heil, LDG, Alinco, Jetstream, Radio Waves, MFJ. The list goes on and on. 903-737-0773 and on the web at mtcradio.com.
As we head back to the show, well, just a reminder, the Photon Podcast T-shirts are available, and I've got them on the Teespring site for as low as they will let me sell them. I can't discount them any further. So if you're looking for a tee, it's there. They're discounted, and I'm going to run the sale as long as I can to get them on your backs and on the street. This portion of the Photon Podcast is brought to you by ICOM America and MTCRadio.com. You got carry handle envy? All of your buddies are rocking the 7200. Maybe it's time for you to pick one up. And the best place to do that is mtcradio.com. Call Richard, Tammy, Christine, or Danielle. Let them connect you with the latest and greatest from ICOM at mtcradio.com. Yeah, I'm back with Andy Holmes and Kevin Thornton from the Ham, High Jinks and Noiseblankers.com. Two guys from Arkansas with no Southern accents. I'm still trying to figure that out, but that's okay, guys. Welcome back. And I think what happened was I didn't realize that we had professional broadcasters here on the Unprofessional Photon Podcast. And
that's it, yeah.
I think that made the difference there. But we were talking about some of the stories as we broke. The Hamvention story with the broken bathrooms, hilarious. The story about, I want you guys to just kind of go back over the Golden Corral story. The reason being is I found out just a few days ago, one of the guys that we've had on the podcast before, one of my good friends, Gerald, that actually happened to him at a real club in a state in the Northeast that I won't mention, but it's like you wrote his story. I just found that out the other day.
Which story? Because we write about Golden Corral all the time.
The Golden Corral where the guy's young and he comes in and he's got too much excitement, wants to do too much stuff, so they ask him to leave.
Oh, yeah. I
think I just told it, but you tell it better than me.
Yeah, so that story was, again, we just think of these things randomly. The story was about the guy who joins the Ham Radio Club, and he is so enthusiastic that he just really ticks off some of the older members of the club. The headline was, Overly Ambitious Ham Kicked from Club. And it was about this 27-year-old newly licensed ham radio operator. He's got all these plans and ambitions, and people in the club are like, we don't want to do anything but just sit around and talk on the radio, and ends up getting kicked out of the club. So, yeah.
It was very well written.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Tensions came to a head after everyone had their second helping of clam chowder.
Now I've got a buddy. Go ahead.
We try to be, sometimes with these stories, we try to think of like, what's the most outrageous thing somebody could say, and to us as we're writing it, we're like, there's no one could ever think that this is real, right? But just as you were saying earlier, if you just read the headline and you don't kind of dig into the story a little bit, it's happened. People think it's real, and all of a sudden this thing takes off.
Yeah, those are our favorite people because if you see a headline, you like it, and you click share or retweet or something, that just means our audience spreads and more people get to see our story. Yeah. So don't read it, just reshare it. That's fine. We're cool with that too.
Yeah,
and another thing we try to do is we do try to be timely with some of the story ideas, and that's where a lot of the ideas come from. So an example is when Brian Williams got in trouble for kind of stretching the truth on some of his stories, right?
Yeah.
It was all over the news, right? It was the news of the day. It's what everybody was talking about. And so we have found that the more timely, topical, kind of top of mind subject matters tend to carry more traffic on the website. So we came up with an idea for a story on our chat channel, and literally I wrote that thing like within 5 minutes. And it's amazing how fast we write these, because people have sometimes asked us before, well, gosh, how do you write so much? How long does it take you to do one of these stories? And really our answer is usually about 2 minutes. About 2 minutes.
When it's not real high effort.
Yeah, when you got the knack, you've got the knack.
Yeah. We did the story on Brian Williams, though, that we had kind of played it that he had claimed that he was a ham radio operator and that he had interviewed Hiram Maxim in 2009 and that he had ordered his Heath kit straight from the factory last Tuesday.
Oh, my. Yeah, that's Brian, all right.
Right. And so that was one of those things where if we can kind of play on a topical thing. We also, people already have it top of mind, but we can also play on existing web traffic for people that are already searching for that topic, and they stumble across our website, and maybe they learn a little bit about ham radio while they're here.
Nothing like a little SEO exposure.
That's right.
Fantastic. Well, tell me a little bit about just hanging out with you guys. I mean, you don't have regular meetings, but I think almost every picture that I've seen of you is at a restaurant. So I guess you guys, do eat a lot.
Yeah, we definitely do get together, on occasion to. When we do like each other, so we do hang out.
Yeah.
So we'll get together on occasion. Typically at a fine Mexican fare establishment, and have a couple of margaritas and cervezas, and usually there's almost no business content to our meeting. We just have enchiladas and laugh at each other and usually take pictures. Kevin dabbles in photography, and I mess around with it a bit as well. So we usually have someone behind the camera trying to grab some pictures. So we tend to be more just eating and modeling than actually doing any sort of ham business.
So you're a lot like modern teenagers. You communicate through your cell phones almost all the time with each other.
Yep.
And you take pictures of yourself eating.
Yeah,
that's all true. And we have hair.
And you've got hair. So there you go. They're teenagers, guys. They're really teenagers. The first teenagers on the photon.
Secrets out. We do some regular events throughout the year too. We one of the more fun things that we do is every December we provide communication support at the Fayetteville, Arkansas National Cemetery for the Wreaths Across America event. And that is where about 7,000 wreaths are laid on the graves of veterans there in the National Cemetery. And because of our ties to a certain Fortune 1 company that's headquartered right up the road from where we live, that company sponsors that event. And so we kind of stepped up and said, hey, if you need some radio communications, we can do that. So that's an event that's coming up here next month for us.
Well, thank you guys for doing that.
That's actually a real club thing we do, believe it or not.
Well,
that's not even satire.
Yeah,
right.
That's real.
I mean, and we do field day.
Actually, it's pretty cool.
And then we've gone to a couple of the islands here on Beaver Lake, which is a rather large lake here in northwest Arkansas. And we have activated those islands as part of the U.S. Islands Award program. So, there's some serious stuff that we do with the hobby. And so we definitely don't let the the satire and stuff get in the way of us actually being on the radio every now and then. So, yeah.
So here's the $1 million question. Of course, our show here is catered to the new guy or the guy getting into the hobby. How many Baofeng radios do you guys have apiece? Everyone wants to know.
Yeah, I have one Baofeng and one Yaesu handy talkie, and frankly, the Baofeng's is a better radio in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I do have one.
Now is that
I've got
is
one.
that satire? Or was that real?
That's real. That's real.
I've got a Baofeng, and here's why I bought it is because
you could just accidentally buy them. They're so cheap.
Yeah, they just kind of jump in your cart on Amazon.
Yeah, okay. I guess I did buy that. Okay.
I got mine. I think last year, and I got it a week before that Wreaths Across America event last year because I needed just a kind of a smaller HT. The one what do I have? I have an old Yaesu, and it's just a brick. It's huge, and so it's huge, as Donald Trump would say. But I got the Baofeng last year, and like Andy said, man, those are great little rigs. Now here's the thing, though, like. All of us, I think, has a Baofeng. I think even maybe Nathan has a Baofeng now.
But Nathan doesn't like new stuff.
Oh, that's right. He's got the
Nathan
old
probably
stuff.
has like a tube handy.
He's got the crystal set.
Yeah,
that's Nathan's style. Nathan's actually the youngest of the group, but he likes the old stuff.
It's very, very odd. Very odd child he is. But no, we all have Baofengs except for Nathan. But we have a series of stories on hamhighjinks.com about the quote Chinese-made radios. there's a whole series of stories on there about that, and
wow.
And that's just like an example of where we kind of pluck something that's from real life. There's so many conversations happening about these quote Chinese radios, but man, they're great rigs. They work fine.
The best $30 radio you can buy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also the only. Yeah, we poke fun at it, but we actually had one of our stories was titled "No One Anywhere Having Good VHF QSOs." It talks actually about a club that they all bought these Chinese import radios, and they're so impressed with the price they paid for them, and then none of them work well enough that they have QSOs, so the repeaters basically all go quiet and no one talks to anyone anymore.
I remember that one. That's a good one.
We did a recent one where a club all got together and voted that one of the members needed to buy a new radio. They actually had a vote that the member needed to buy a new radio because he wasn't able to get into the repeater with the cheap Chinese radio that he had.
Hey, guys, we're having fun here. We're not. If all you have is a $30 or even $26 Baofeng, welcome to the hobby. We're having fun here.
Yeah, right. Hey, they really are actually pretty good radios. It's fun to make fun of them because they cost $1.50.
Yeah,
but they frankly are a heck of a value.
Well, when I got in, the cheapest one was the Oshin, and it was $120, and I was happy to spend it because I couldn't afford the $300 Yaesu.
Yeah, I bought like a Yaesu. I think it's a VX6R or something like that. Yeah. Was my first handy talkie, which I pretty much never used anyway. But it actually doesn't work anymore. It broke. My Baofeng keeps working. So there you go.
There you go.
No, nothing wrong with those things. And if it gets you on the air, then, I mean, go for it, Well, there's just so many.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I tell people, if someone came to you and said, hey, I'd like to learn how to shoot a gun, and I've got $189, I'm going to go buy this .22 rifle. No, you can't buy that. You have to buy a 30-06 Remington 700 or something. You wouldn't do that. You'd be like, awesome. We'll get you learning. Well, I'm the same way with the Baofengs or Pofeng, whatever they're called this week. Right. It's $30. If that's what it takes to get you, you're probably not going to use it that much anyway. So just buy it and get on the air.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if that's your budget and that's fine, then enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just whatever it takes to enjoy it. And I guess the one caveat I have for new folks coming into the hobby, thinking about an HT as their first rig is it maybe isn't the most practical all-around rig.
Yeah.
So, if you do have a little bit more in your budget, you can pick up maybe a used, maybe single-band mobile rig that has a bit more power. That might bring you more enjoyment. But you can't beat the little $30, Baofeng, Paofeng, whatever we want to call it, Waxen, one of 175 different iterations of basically the same radio. Buy it. Yeah. If it works for you, go for it.
Absolutely. Speaking of encouraging you guys, I believe personally, I have no scientific evidence for most anything I ever say, but particularly this, it seems to me that there's been an influx of new amateur operators in the U.S. in the last 2 or 3 years. I have to wonder if we cannot contribute some of that to the fact that they can spend $15 on a test and $30 on a radio and get on the air and join the Kerchunkers or something.
Right.
Yeah, or form the Kerchunkers, because that name's still available.
It's out there.
Somebody's going to buy that URL after this show.
Go for it.
Go to hostgator.com and enter Photon Podcast, and I'll get the commission or something.
Do it. MakeTheKerchunkers.com.
So,
Good for us.
So you guys are young.
No, I definitely agree.
Yeah, you guys are young, and y'all are there watching the hobby grow in your local area. Do you see it growing? Do you have new amateurs on the air? Are you noticing that, or is it just me here in South Carolina?
Yeah. I mean, this is Kevin. I'll just speaking for myself. I mean, yes, the repeaters in our area, we have actually a nice little system where repeaters are linked together across Northwest Arkansas, and we hear new people quite often. And we have a club, the Hogville Hams, they call themselves, here in Northwest Arkansas.
Only in Arkansas,
Only in Arkansas, Hogville, because of the Razorbacks. Go Hogs, go Hogs. So they do testing on a regular basis, and they do classes too to crank out people with various levels of licenses. And I think they have done a great job contributing to getting some new people in here.
Yeah, you got to credit. I mean, that's something, Frank. I mean, actually, everyone in the Noise Blankers, I believe, is a VEC, right? I think
right.
We're all VECs now. Yeah, so I guess we can, but it's not something we've had time to do. So hey, we got to give props to some, at least locally to us, some of our, more formal quote clubs, and the effort they've done in recruiting and licensing. It's not something we have time for, frankly, ourselves, but it's so important, and definitely have to appreciate them for those efforts.
Hey, can we talk a minute about how we all became VECs, by the way?
Yeah. Sure.
So I think it was like a 2-hour thing, right?
It may have been less than that. So here we are one afternoon. It was like 11 a.m. Central Time. And Gary sends a message on the chat group, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to try to become a VEC." And we're all like, "What? Why? Why are you going to do that?" And he was like, "I'm just going to do it." Just like he wanted the wallpaper. Let's be honest. He
likes wallpaper a lot.
He does. And so we all said, "Well, heck, we're going to do that too." And within about a 2-hour time frame, don't tell my boss, we had stopped working. This is a work day, by the way. We had gone online, downloaded the materials, studied for the quote unquote exam, passed the exam, and by that afternoon we were all VECs.
Congratulations!
So don't let bureaucracy stop your ham club from doing cool things, people.
Or a
also,
job.
don't think this stuff is hard.
Or a job. That's right.
It was like an hour, maybe.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that, if you want to take an amateur radio license, frankly, you need to study a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
But it's maybe realistically a week of healthy studying. You could probably be a technician.
Yeah, 10 hours.
If you actually care about the content, a couple hours a night for a week, and you could probably take your tech test. I mean, I frankly went overboard when I was studying for all of my licenses because I was just, I don't know, I geek out on this stuff, so I just had to know it all, right? I had to. And I literally missed 3 questions total for all 3 licenses.
Wow. Well, good job.
And that will come out later in life. That will be worth exactly nothing for me.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it was I was gonna know it. I was gonna be good at it. But
me, on the other hand, I think I passed by 1 question.
Hey, it works the same,
and
right?
he gets the same license.
But I passed.
Yeah. And he had to actually do some code for his license.
I did.
Oh my gosh.
I became a general when 5 words per minute was still required, and I just barely got that 5 words per minute there. So, imagine how mad I was. Imagine how mad I was when they took the code away.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I'm wondering.
Well, I think
Go ahead, Andy.
I think that's why a lot of the guys were upset about the code going away. Not because they actually cared, but because they had to do it.
They had to take the test.
Appreciated that threshold.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering sometimes as that argument continues to dwindle, I wonder if the Chinese handy-talkie versus the Japanese handy-talkie argument will kind of take its place. It kind of feels that way sometimes. You can't buy that.
Yeah. I think it's already taken its place. I really do. I haven't heard the disgruntled people talking about no-code text in a long time, which is a good thing. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Hey, CW's awesome. If you want to do it, do it. That's fantastic. But, I mean, it's gone. It went in, it was 2006 or something? So, sometimes we have a hard time letting go of the past. And I think part of it is amateur radio is so ingrained in the past because even though we have such, fantastic whiz-bang, SDRs and awesome radios with extreme noise reduction and, super low, third order, IMD or whatever now, the technology, like the physics of it is the same, right? It was the same in 1919.
It's still the magic of radio.
Yeah, so I think that we had that connection to the past that is kind of part of our hobby, but it can manifest itself in perhaps negative ways when it comes to stuff like that. When I got licensed, I was on QRZ.com all the time, reading articles and, people, obviously at that time it was still such a heated discussion. And here I was a no-code general, right? That sit down, took the tech and the general test in a single setting and didn't know a lick of code, right? So I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say in this argument, but I'm going to kind of sit back. And it's pretty much gone now, which is good. It actually makes CW cooler, though.
It does.
Because you see, because we're definitely, Twitter has been huge for us in terms of meeting and relating with people in the amateur radio community across the world, right? Because, we have some friends here locally that are hams, but Twitter's been a fantastic way for us to connect with amateur radio operators across the world. And, one of the things I noticed, on Twitter a couple of years ago was young hams, quote, no-code hams or whatever you want to say, like I was, are wanting to learn CW because they wanted to, not because they had to or was some obligation for a license, but because they were interested in it. Yeah. And that was so much of a better reason to actually have that particular segment of the hobby progressed.
Well, I've got buddies, that are learning it now that don't have to, but they want to. And I think it's great. I mean, I really wish I could find the time or take the time to start myself. But, life keeps getting in your way like every 30 seconds. So just a few minutes ago, Andy, you said as a suggestion for someone new coming into the hobby, maybe a used single band base station type mobile radio that they could use in their car or use at home would cause less frustration for them. Probably a lot easier to program as well. But have you guys got any other ideas for someone new coming in to help them maybe kind of not maybe take some of the wrong steps you possibly took or saw someone else around you take?
Well, one thing that just to play off something that Andy said earlier, use social media to your advantage when you get into the hobby. And like Andy said, Twitter has been tremendous for us, not only kind of for our Noise Blankers brand or our HamHighJinks.com brand, but for just connecting with other people and getting ideas for how to do things in the hobby. And if we think about it, all the newcomers that are coming into the hobby are already there. They're already on social media. So, as the old folks in the hobby, we should use social media to tap into them. But my advice to the newcomers is also use social media to come back this way to us as well and plug in and see what people are doing, because now you don't have to rely on just going to your local ham club to get advice. Now you can go on social media and find out what somebody is doing across the Atlantic Ocean with ham radio.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out, Kevin. I don't know that was relevant for me. QRZ early on, and then Twitter, QRZ.com early on, and then Twitter later. But oftentimes I've heard a couple of people say, we don't have Elmers anymore, and I think it's wrong for a couple of reasons. One of them is, well, there literally are classic style Elmers that are still helping people out, in the community. It's not that it doesn't exist. Maybe it's a little more rare now. But two, you don't necessarily have a Elmer. You have a group of Elmers. Right. You have, your 500 Twitter followers that, how do I match this coaxial connector to, whatever relatively new question you may have? 500 people there to go, oh, you know what? Here's the part you need, or here's what I would do, or here's how to solder a new one, or whatever it may be. So I think there's definitely better ways to reach out and connect with people than there ever have been in the amateur radio community. And I think it makes us even more vibrant, not less so.
Yeah.
And I guess something else I guess I've shared, or I share with the hams that, prospective hams or new hams, is don't stop at your tech. I guess I can take myself as an example of that. I knew I wanted to be on HF, right? I knew that was the part of the hobby that drew me in, is this long distance HF communications thing. So I knew I had to be there for me. But I find you hear of a lot of hams. They'll take their technician's license. They'll get maybe a handy talkie or a mobile rig, and maybe they'll jump in on the repeater every now and again, and that's okay. But they don't end up going much beyond that, probably because then their knowledge becomes a bit more stale. They run out of time, and then they kind of maybe fade away from the hobby a bit, or maybe stay there, which is fine. And nothing wrong with a technician that's only interested in those things. But I think personally, to grow with the hobby, it's best if an amateur works toward getting their tech in general very quickly. Because when you're studying for your technician's license, you're already getting some of the basics, right? Mm-hmm. You're already getting that fresh in your head and top of mind. So why not go ahead and keep that going early on in the process and leverage that studying you're doing to have it all top of mind and get the first two of them done? Because then you have all that spectrum, you have all those options that are opened up to you. And to me, that's tremendously more exciting.
And you can buy a lot more cooler gear when you can use it on all those other frequencies.
Okay, it's possible that was my reason too.
Yeah, okay. I knew there was a little something else in there, because, you were already looking up linears on the internet, trying to figure out how you could get on there and say,
I had to have some power.
Echo, 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 echo. So what was your CB handle? Yeah, hola. What was your CB handle, Andy? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I didn't have one. I really didn't. I didn't use CB much.
What did they call you? Like Red Jeep number 5. Come in, breaker.
Andy. I didn't have like a cool, powerful radio or whatever. I had my 4 watts AM. So yeah. I'm generally talking to like the guy that was 600 yards away from me on the highway, right?
Okay.
So it wasn't very glamorous. I really didn't use it very much, and I frankly didn't know anything about SWR or antennas at the time. So I had what I have to assume was probably a tremendously mismatched poor antenna with effectively no grounding to my vehicle. So the fact that my reception was really poor and I couldn't get out anywhere was not surprising.
God, it's a miracle you're even here today.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
Burned your Jeep to the ground. All right, so the argument for chili is beans or no beans. When it comes to antenna placement on your vehicle, the question is drill or no drill. Which one are you guys?
Well, this is Kevin. I've got lip mounts.
Does that hurt?
Are, and it does, especially when you're eating like
you have to go
salsa.
to a pro.
Yeah, don't drink orange juice after you freshly get a lip mount. I actually found these really cool lip mounts online. They're custom drilled for the model of vehicle that you have, and they use a bolt on the like quarter panel of the vehicle, and they're bent at just the right shape to get around the shape of your quarter panel. And so I've got one that fits my Toyota. And that's what I've always used. I started off with mag mounts early in my ham radio career, but I really like these lip mounts, so I don't drill.
I got you. Andy?
Yeah, I don't care. I'll drill if it works out for me. On my last Jeep, a 2012 Wrangler Rubicon, I had actually VHF, UHF, and HF in the mobile rig, and so I had all kinds of holes drilled to mount brackets and a sundry, a remote random wire tuner and some things. So I don't have a problem with it. I'll do whatever works best. My particular rig, which is a Jeep Commander, I actually have a lip mount as well, mostly because I couldn't go any higher with my antenna, or I couldn't get in my garage. So going to the roof and do a drill through. NMO mount in the roof or something like that is really going to provide the best counterpoise to your actual antenna. So from a performance perspective, middle of the roof of a metal roof, NMO type mount or something like that for VHF, UHF, center mounted in the roof and drilled through is going to be ideal. But even if I did that, I couldn't park in my garage, and hey, I like my car to be warm in the morning.
Yeah, because it's a Jeep, and it take a little while to warm up, right?
It can sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to get a what do they call it? Is it the XJ? Is that the old classic?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd love to have one of those for my kids.
The Cherokee.
Yes, the Cherokee Sport
the
Classic.
Cherokee Classic.
Yes,
those are great vehicles.
Those are
the old 4-liter inline six.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yep, love those things. Awesome. So, tell us a little bit more about what's happening out there. Anything special coming up for the holidays? Do you guys do any kind of special Christmas, New Year's kind of stuff with your group, or you just kind of hanging with the family at those times?
Yeah, I don't know that we have, other than the Wreaths Across America deal at the National Cemetery. I think that's all we've got planned as a group, right, Andy?
Yeah, that's the other thing is we don't really plan much.
Yeah.
So
you might just show up somewhere.
Exactly.
Well, it may be more like, what are you guys doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, on November 17, we're going to get together, and we're not very good about that sometimes.
Yeah, just get your you keep your reflective vest that says emergency communications in your car at all times.
Oh, you have to.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We've got that.
Well, I mean, in my car, I'm wearing it right now.
with no shirt.
Oh, yeah, definitely no shirt.
Got my vest on.
It's plenty.
How about you? What are you doing for the holiday there?
Oh, well, it'll be just kids. I've got 5, so it's just a lot of kids, a lot of time. We just had
only 5?
Yeah, only 5. Yeah, and I know what happens and what causes that. By the way, I get asked that a lot.
Well, I think the more kids you have, that just means that you're just building your own ham radio club right there.
Yeah, a club that's not a club.
Well, you could form the Kerchunkers, and you'd have more members than the Noiseblankers
I've
do.
got the Kerchunkers, brother. Let me tell you. I just bought a 12-passenger van because my 2 eldest boys are 11 and 12 years old now. So it's they can get that close. We needed some space.
12-passenger. That's legit.
I mean, it's like a church bus. You know what I'm saying? So it's
not messing around.
Yeah,
That's a lot of room for antennas.
I bought the biggest ground plane that I could afford. And
I like it.
And then I put my antenna on the front fender mount. So,
do you wear one of those chauffeur's hats when you're driving it around?
I feel like it sometimes. I really do. But man,
you might as well embrace it.
I look around. I'll be 42 in December, and I've got 5 kids, 1 wife. That's all I've ever had, and I'm happy that way. But, I've got buddies that are going through these midlife crises. They're buying Mustangs and those Jeep Rubicon 4-door, just awesome, and then having the whole thing rhino lined with 20-inch wheels and 36-inch tires, just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm down there.
A pretty good midlife crisis.
Yeah. And I'm at the Ford dealership, and they've got this, Boss 302 Mustang sitting there. And it's just sick, it's just dripping, just oozing awesome masculinity. And I buy the 12-passenger van,
Yeah, yes, sir. No, this is nice. This is really nice. Now, how big of a van can I get?
You can get a 15-passenger van.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to need more than that.
Yeah. That's the one that's got the extra wind in the back. It's actually 22 inches longer than the 12-passenger. But they actually drive a lot better than you would anticipate. But I've got a big family. The holidays, Christmas is always a blast down here. And what's really cool is one of the gifts that the older boys are getting this year. Although I'm in amateur radio and on the internet and whatever, we homeschool our kids and we keep them. Of course, they're here, and we have really poor internet connectivity, so they don't spend any time online. So to have them, they kind of start acting like they want to study for their license. So I actually ordered paper flashcards for them for Christmas as a gift. So, when there's nothing left to give, you buy flashcard amateur radio technician study cards.
I like
nice.
it.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
You know how hard those things were to find, man? There's only like 3 companies making them in the world now. And I was like, and you can't just type in Google. You can't put in Google, ham radio flashcards, because you get all these pictures of these guys in Arkansas without their shirts on. I'm just kidding. Wrong flash, wrong flash. Hey, that might be a story. Might be a story.
Could be. As you were talking
That's
about
exactly
the van,
how it starts.
As you were talking about the van, I thought of something like, local ham buys large van to accommodate equipment not the size of his family. That's how they start.
Yeah,
right
that's how they start. Yeah. So yeah, and we've got just a VHF UHF rig in there now, but it's a lot of fun. And amateur radio's been really good to me, man. What's kind of funny, we were talking about Elmers a few minutes ago. I've got some great Elmers here locally. And I've got some guys that I've probably will never meet ever this side of heaven, like the song went. But those guys have been so helpful, encouraging me to get my license, encouraging me to do my upgrade, encouraging me to do the podcast, helping me make good decisions with a very small budget on what rigs to buy and, to address questions like that. So social media, I'm on Facebook and Twitter, but I really enjoy a forum, kind of like you guys have privately with your iPhones at the Mexican restaurant, sitting across from each other, texting each other.
Correct.
It's
taking pictures.
Yeah. here's my burrito. No, there's my other burrito, So, that is huge. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy doing this podcast is, I did some radio and I got out of radio and really missed talking to someone that I can't see, just an audience. And that's what I've had so much fun with this show is new guys coming in. I'm not an expert. I'm a dumb dude that's made a lot of smart friends in amateur radio. And to be able to help communicate or actually help put those two people together, an audience and smart people, or funny guys from Arkansas too, together to help grow this hobby. It's actually been a lot of fun. So that's
nice.
That's 40 episodes. I mean, I never dreamt that we would still be here. But
well, congratulations on 40 because there's been some talk online about a lot of guys getting out of the podcast business. Here lately, that's been a topic of conversation. So kudos to you for sticking it out.
Well, it's it's a lot of fun, and it's great to get to meet people like you two, who I've enjoyed your work for years now. And when we pitched the idea, I thought, man, this would be great. This would be a lot of fun. But I like humor, and especially when we're picking at ourselves, I just think that's classic. That's the best kind of humor, when you can laugh at yourself.
Well, that's the kind of attitude we need more of in the hobby. We don't need the sticks in the mud. We don't need the people who are against any kind of change. We need people who are open to laughing at themselves, because that's how we can get everybody to agree on things and move the hobby forward. So we need more of that in ham radio, please.
Well, we're the subsection of society that doesn't bathe for like 3 or 4 weeks and then goes to these indoor venues in the wintertime with our coats on and rent jazzies to drive around with our name tags on our chest. I mean, and pocket protectors. And we got our name tag on our hat too, and
we're proud of all of those things.
All of the above.
Absolutely. That's who we are. So we have to laugh at some of that. I mean,
that's right.
We have to.
Yeah. You would think they would, like at Dayton, they would start doing like some kind of jazzy rodeo or something. Would that be awesome?
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, we actually wrote a story that Kevin and I went to Dayton. Was it 2014, Kevin?
14, yeah.
Yeah, we went to Dayton. We had a good time out there. Actually, it was really really pretty cool event.
Yeah.
And but there really was obviously like a lot of amateurs on scooters, right?
Yeah.
Like electric mobility variety, and they had a scooter rental there on site and various things. And we came back and wrote a story that they, instead of banning scooters or something because they were kind of dangerous, sometimes they kind of run you over, that Dayton was going to move to an all scooter attendance. So you had to have a scooter to attend, whether you needed one or not. So.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Hamfests have always been like the best topic for hamhijinks.com. We talk about we even talk about the wives who created candles to sell at Hamfest as an excuse to be able to join their husband to this crazy event.
Yeah, so. Their husband drags them along, and then a bunch of crazy, weird guys there talking about, high frequency, transmitters and linear amplifiers, and they have to get away from it. So they set up a doily table or something, and no one buys it, but it's like they have a reason to go, a reason to do it.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Guys, I've really, really enjoyed having you on the program. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad we were finally able to get it done, and thank you for your perseverance. I mean, it was just, everybody's life, and getting, 2 people together is tough, but getting 3 together especially in two different time zones, has been the challenge. But man, it's been a lot of fun. We've really enjoyed having you on, and would love to bring you guys back again. We just did a show a few weeks ago about the spectrum and learning about listening, what else there is to listen to. And we're going to do a show in the very near future regarding some scanners, which is kind of a small passion of mine. And I like digital mode stuff as well. So and then we do the geeky shows too, where I don't even come on the show. I'm just like, okay, you two are smarter than me, so y'all go talk about this, and I'll just post produce it because I'm only going to get in the way with my uhs and hus and what and So
I'm going to need more details on that.
Yeah. We'll spend more time answering my questions than we will recording the entire program. So,
Now, we'd love to join you again sometime. And if
it was fun.
If there are any Arkansas hams that are listening right now, look for us soon, because we're going to be talking about redesigning the amateur radio license plate in Arkansas. We're going to get this done. So we're going to need all the Arkansas hams to tune in and help us with this effort. So look for that coming soon.
Before we go, give me your two websites again, and if you want to put your Twitter handles out there, if you're on Facebook, just take a big dump right here on us with all of your social media stuff.
Oh my gosh, Andy! How many Twitter handles do we have between the 4 or 5? We got like 20 Twitter handles, I think.
Well, let's see here. There's all of our personal ones, right? We have a whole bunch of. I have like 7 or something. But what matters right now is that every one of the club members has their own call sign as a Twitter handle.
Okay.
So, K5KAC, Nathan, WB0RUR, Gary, K5KVN, Kevin, K5PO, myself. You can also find the club's Twitter handle at WR5P. You can find Ham High Jinks at Ham High Jinks, and that's just Twitter. We also have a Facebook group that is the Ultimate Radio Discussion. It's not really about Ham High Jinks or anything like that. It was just, I guess we felt like we needed yet another place to yammer on about radio. And then, of course, we have the websites as well, KVN.
Yeah, the websites, our club site is Noiseblankers.com, and then, of course, our Ham Radio Satire News site is hamhijinks.com. That's ham, HIJINKS.com. So appreciate everybody clicking on those.
And we'll have all that in the the show notes in case you couldn't get their very nice Midwestern accents there. I have to put stuff in writing because people can't understand sometimes what I say if they're from the the far left or the upper north here. But we try to help them out with using regular English when we type.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Arkansas guys, but you can't really tell where we're from sometimes.
No,
so.
It's not an Arkansas accent. I've been through there once. I flew into the capital one time on my way to Tyler, Texas, years ago. It was about a 15-minute layover, so I didn't get to see much.
Yeah, did you run into Bill Clinton when you were there?
He was actually in office, and we flew over the Capitol building as we were coming in, and I saw some chick leaving in a blue dress. I don't know what was going on. So.
Oh, I love.
You knew what was going on.
I love ham radio. Ham radio is awesome. That's my worst Bill Clinton impersonation right there.
Wasn't that bad, Kevin?
It was. It was better than some. So, guys, thank you again. It's been a lot of fun. We want to have you back in. And one thing I thought about just a second ago and wanted to mention, you said that Gary in your group, that's not a club, was the DX chaser, and he's the one. He's got the biggest call of all of you.
You know what?
Yeah.
We berate him about that from time to time.
We sure
That
do.
was a mouthful.
We live in 5 country, right?
Yeah.
But Gary grew up in, I believe it was Lebanon, Missouri. Is that right, Kevin?
That's right, yeah.
And so obviously a zero call is, and he's been licensed since I think it was 1976, if I recall.
Wow, that was 3.
So Gary is definitely our most experienced DXer. He's the most accomplished DXer and most accomplished contester. But he keeps the WB0RUR, I think, as an homage to his youth, because that was an issued call many a year ago. So
Yeah, Warner Brothers
that doesn't hold him back.
Yeah. So when he comes over to your house, he's like, "So can I contest for your call this afternoon?"
That's why we have WR5P.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic, guys. Well, thank you again, and we'll have you on really, really soon. This has been a lot of fun, and want to bring you back in. Guys, don't forget to check out their website. You got Noiseblankers.com along with HightJinks.com. They'll be listed there in the show notes, along with probably some of the pictures from the folks down there, or over there, I should say, in Northwest Arkansas. We'll try to make sure everybody has their shirt on, and don't know if we can handle it the other way.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Shirts and shoes required, y'all. Got to eat at the You have to wear shirts and shoes at the Golden Corral, so surely we can find some eating
Not
pictures.
ours.
Oh, Bubba Clinton rolled that out when he was in the State House, I guess.
That's right. Not a rule down here.
Yeah, I hear you.
Hey,
I hear you.
Appreciate you having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you both for coming on. Thank you again to Andy and Kevin, both of the Noise Blankers. You can find them at highjinks.com or noiseblankers.com. That's Kilo 5 Papa Oscar and Kilo 5 Kilo Whiskey November. Love it, guys. Thank you so much for being on. Can't wait to have you back with us again soon. Hey, before I go, I've got three very special thank yous. Kilo Charlie 1 Echo Lima Delta sent me an email and said, Kel, you were in episode 39 and you got all the way to the VHF, UHF stuff and you never said it and you kept going, I'm a new tech and I'm really wanting to buy something. I went back and sure enough, I had left an entire segment out of the program. So if you listen to it within the first 2 or 3 hours of its posting, you might have missed that segment. It's put back in there. It's a part of the program now. If you need to re-download or check it again, it's it's about 45 minutes into the show. You can pick it up right there and listen to that segment if you're interested and missed it the last time through. So again, thank you, Kilo Charlie 1 Echo Lima Delta. Also, Douglas Livio and Brett Smith, who is Kilo Echo 0 Echo Whiskey Yankee. Both of those guys decided to come on and support the program this month. Thank you very much for your donation there on PayPal. We look forward to continuing to serve you and the amateur radio community. So thank you both, gentlemen. We appreciate your gift, and we're going to put it to good use here on the farm, making the Photime podcast. Now, it's Christmas time. It's so close. Don't forget, if it snows, it's free at MTC, as well as checking out all we have to offer at itsphotime.com or photimepodcast.com. Also, don't forget to review the show, to subscribe to the show, to make sure you share it with someone, especially this one. This is a lot of fun. I love this show. It's a lot of great fun with Andy and Kevin. Thank you again to those guys. But anyway, we'll be back the next time. It'll be a surprise for me, too, because we haven't even decided what we're going to do. But thank you so much. God bless you guys. 73. Catch you next time.
Thanks for listening, downloading, and subscribing to Photime, the other ham radio podcast, presented by MTCRadio.com. To subscribe, comment, share, or review, visit our show site at photimepodcast.com. Till next time, 73, y'all.